Fritzy, Fritzy, Fritzy.
Yes po, ma'am.
Sandali lang. A couple of minutes bago tayo start, practicing ko muna yung share screen.
Good day, everyone. Welcome to another insightful session of the Moodle Mentor Series, where we bring together educators, innovators, and Moodle enthusiasts to share practical strategies, tools, and experiences that empower teaching and learning. My name is Bixzy, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. Before we begin, just a few quick reminders. Please feel free to drop your questions in the Q&A box throughout the talk, and we'll have the time for a Q&A segment at the end. You can also use the chat to share your thoughts or reactions during the session, but please keep it respectful and relevant. Now, it is my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today. Joining us is Dr. Nerissa M. Guillermo, the Program Chairman of B.A. Broadcasting at College of Communications at New Era University. Today, Dr. Nerissa will be sharing insights on From Zero to Launch, Your First Steps in Moodle Course Development. So without further ado, let's give a warm virtual welcome to Dr. Nerissa M. Guillermo.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to this afternoon's Moodle Mentor session. I'm Dr. Nerissa Guillermo, as Ms. Fritzy introduced me a while ago, but people, well, my students, my colleagues in the university, my friends and family, usually they just call me Doc G for short. Guillermo is kind of long family name. So Doc G or Miss Neri or Doc Neri is going to be an okay mentor coach byline for me. So it's a rainy afternoon where I'm coming from, but welcome. I hope it's a wonderful day for all of us. Every day that we learn something new, especially through the learning system that is being brought to us by Nefila Web Technology Incorporated, is always a wonderful, opportune time for everybody to be learners, to be mentors, but more especially to be engaged partners in the changing landscape of technology. So for this afternoon, I will share with you my beginning feelings, maybe experiences, some apprehensions, perhaps insights and takeaways about navigating Moodle. Okay, as I am coming in from the Jurassic age, I'm 60. I used to heavily work with the typewriter, with the pen. I was a former calligrapher, so you would see that the changes in technology has been quite an impactful one for me. So initially, the apprehensions were there. I was kind of fearful about moving on, not only to basic keyboarding, no, in terms of just uh, typing with the keys in the computer, the bigger computers, and then eventually the laptop. But more importantly, with the changing platforms and technology, they really scared me more than anything else. Why I had colleagues, no, and students in the university that patiently guided me through. I was very, very fortunate to meet, of course, the president of Nefila, who is a mentor of mine, who continues to mentor me in my desire to be able to engage as a faculty member so that I will be able to deliver to my students, no, the necessary learning that they all hope to get by enrolling in my subjects. And I think for all of us faculty members, it's very, very, it's an imperative that we engage in learning, that we immerse ourselves in learning new technology. Like for this example, it's the learning management system called Moodle. No? So at the start, it all sounded just like Noodle to me. But each day that I learned something new about Moodle, each day that I was able to navigate it slowly, carefully, but very, very patiently with very gifted mentors, I was able to survive the maze. And one day at the end of a semester or two, I was very, very happy with the breakthroughs that I was able to make for myself and to be able to translate that to my students as well. No, so for this afternoon, I will share with you a courseware that was a requirement in the Moodle training or in the Moodle class that I was able to enroll in. It's very simple courseware, no? And this I used to teach this subject face to face in the university. It's a practical subject because it involves working with the camera. By the way, I think Miss Fritzi mentioned a while ago that I'm a communication professor, especially in the field of broadcasting. So we have subjects that entail a lot of camera work. So, but of course, with the pandemic, it was a difficulty to transition into online teaching. And then post pandemic, it had to be a hybrid thing. So I really had to learn how to navigate technology to be able to bring forth into full advantage the teaching learning process, not only for my students, but more importantly for myself as well, so that I can be a better professor and educator at that. No? So for this afternoon, I will show you a sample courseware and how to prepare this. Probably you will have to be like me. You will have to enroll in their training programs and courses, no, so that you will further learn techniques, how to be able to use the Moodle system to be able to upload different elements, to use photographs, charts, to be able to engage in film clips, to be able to edit. No, all of these things will be taught to you professionally. So for the meantime, let me now go to my screen. I will present to you a subject that I teach in the university. So we will pretend that for now you will be my students so that we can engage in this. But of course, when you go back to your own classrooms, when you go back to your own offices, to your own teams, no, you will pretty much be doing the same. But this time, let me just use this subject, photojournalism, which I teach, which I'm a professor of, and this is how I transitioned from a full face-to-face course um, into a through a learning management system, which enabled me to be able to teach students who are not in Manila or in Quezon City, particularly where our university is situated. So I also have students who are enrolled, but who are in Mindanao, who are in Baguio, and maybe in some lesson, in some classes of mine, there were students who were coming in as far as from Qatar, from Dubai, from the other part of the world. I had students from Australia, from Winnipeg, and Manitoba in Canada. So through Moodle, we will be able to bring everyone into one singular global classroom. So again, so let's pretend that this is a classroom. So I will just show you an example of what a Moodle classroom looks like and how it's simply operated should you be able to master the navigation that it entails. So I usually say, welcome to the photojournalism classroom. And here you will find here, this is how your dashboard will look like. Of course, I'm viewing it as a professor, but you will also see the same if you were my students. No, you can upload any pictures that will be very appropriate for the subject or the topic that you are teaching. In this case, I have here my course number, of course, assigned to me and the title of the subject. And then there are like, I call these the cabinets, no, but of course, Moodle would have the appropriate terms for that. But these are the sections, the main sections. You see there the main lines and the main boxes, and you can create these boxes and you will be taught how, no? But for our purposes, I have there a main box called Welcome to Photojournalism Virtual Classroom. And then later on, I will move to the other main boxes. Inside the main box or inside the main section, or subsections which you will also open. No? So when you click the Welcome to Photo Journal Visual Classroom as a student, if you click that, so I put there a PDF, a photograph of a quotation by a famous photographer, which will encapsulate what the class is all about. No, again, this is all up to you. You may want to put a paragraph, a narrative, an illustration, but I decided to welcome my students with a very, very good quotation on photojournalism and how it is related to photography as a base foundational course, of course. And then, of course, under that, we have another subsection, and then, like, for example, if you want to click announcements, if you click announcements, that's going to open to a subsection wherein I can place, or you can place as professors, certain announcements that you'd like to make to your students. Example, if you will be having like webinars, or you'll be probably having some educational experiences like tours or some seminars forthcoming, or maybe no classes, cancellation or suspension of classes, you can always just post that here so that your students can read that. Okay. And then we go back to the back arrow. We go back and open class rules. No? Of course, all of this will be just dependent on what you like to put. Now, for my purposes, I like to start learning courses with basic rules because this will put a skeletal framework into how we will conduct our classes with the SOPs. Okay, like any other classes, this time it's online though. No? So this time, I used a photograph. This is a PDF photograph of what we use in the university. So we have their rules, the synchronous and the asynchronous classes, because we have hybrid classes for our purposes in the College of Communication. Why did I decide to put a picture here? Because I want my students to be able to go back every time they need to check themselves out. Are they within the bounds of the policies of this class? Maybe they're missing on something, so they can keep reviewing this on their own time. I did not discuss this lengthily because this can be a read through for your students. So again, it's really up to you, but this is what we use in the university. And for our purposes, at least our students can always just go back to it and make it as a reference, a permanent reference, as a checklist for the conduct of things inside the learning management system. Okay, then let's go back to the mainframe again. And then I'd like, of course, to introduce myself. No? While normally in the face-to-face classes, this will be a very casual introduction. Should I not be present, talking to them face-to-face, and then just click in the meet your professor. So I have a very short welcoming message to all of them. Again, this will be dependent on how you'd want to present yourself, the photos you'd want to use, the narratives that you'd want to put. But shortly, this is how I just introduce myself. Okay. And then now that I've introduced myself, I want my students to introduce themselves to me. And because this is a photojournalism class, and of course, this is like at the pace that they can learn, I asked them because my students in this course have already been classmates in other courses of mine. So I decided here to ask them to introduce themselves in a different way. Now, something, give an information, bits of information that their classmates don't know about them and would probably get surprise learning. So it's going to be a little interesting. And then for the second part of the introductory part, because it's photojournalism class, to be able to just make it a little more appropriate and to spark that kind of interest as a sort of an appetizer for the course, I asked them to like share what kind of photos capture their interest, photos that they'd like to take or photos that interest them. And then maybe like I was able to pose the question given the state of the art camera. What pictures would you like to tell and speak about who you are, your personal interests, your principles, your philosophies, even your pet peeves. And this will tell your classmates who you are. This will tell your professor what you are. Okay. And then the essay does not have to be very long actually. And then on the lower right portion, there is a subscribe to forum button. Now, if as a student, pretending you're my students, and you submit the answer to this introduction of self, it's a short paragraph anyway, and you subscribe to the forum, you'll be able to post your answers such that your classmates will be able to read them, and as such, you will be able to read the answers of your classmates as well. I will be able to read your answers, and there we can make constructive remarks. No? We just have to be very mindful in the forum, which is part of the learning management system. We can engage even if we're not face to face. We can speak to one another. We can leave mindful remarks. We can leave positive affirmations. And this is one very good way where we can interact and sustain the virtual classroom. This will humanize the virtual classroom actually. Okay, so you just don't forget to subscribe to the forum. After that, okay, so I don't like people getting lost. The thing with the learning management system is that, especially for beginners like me, I usually get lost trying to like click buttons that I'm not familiar with, or sometimes in the thick of things, I have a lot of tabs open. So I decided to put here the virtual classroom link, such that when you click it, okay, it's a hyperlink that will redirect you to the actual Gmeet classroom that I have set for photojournalism. So there's no getting lost. Nobody's gonna say, Doc, I missed the elevator. I went to the fourth floor instead of the first floor, or I went to this room instead of this room. That ate up my time. So with a click of a finger, you'll be redirected to the actual classroom. I think this is a very good guide for your students, no? Especially those who are not very attuned to navigating the learning management system. So that will make it easier for them. Okay? Now we go back. So that's done. Okay, for the welcome stuff that we have to do usually to open classrooms. Now, another section that we have here is the course guide. So after the introduction has been done, let's move on to the course. No? I'd like you as my students to get to know the course a little more. So if you click the course guide, which is a main section, the subsections will appear. And one of them is the course syllabus, because at the start of the class, you discuss this with your students. So what I put here actually is a very simple, compressed course syllabus. It's a usual one that professors are required to submit in universities and colleges, no? Not the matrix form of the syllabus, but here I just want our students to navigate it in an easier way. So I just put like it's a topical syllabus. It's really again up to you, no? But for my purpose, because it's a practicum class, it's photography class, I want to do away with the textual difficulties. Okay, so simply put, you'll see the topics there. I've sifted it out and the things that you have to learn all throughout the semester. Okay, so let's move on. After the course syllabus, it will close down. You have a drop down arrow there. If you click that, you will see the course description. Again, very briefly, I just said what the course is all about. No, I don't like students to get lost in translation. I want them to just get their interest to get picked or teased and then eventually to really just find out for themselves what the course is all about. And of course, because it is required of us as educators to be able to always predetermine the CLOs or the course learning outcomes. We want to know, so what now is going to happen at the end of the course? What do we expect our students to be able to do? So here I've listed the objectives, which are usually just skill based. So as always, and as we are all very familiar with, I tell my students they're always composed of action words. No? So to be able to be equipped, to analyze, the ability to acquire, and then the ability to assess. No? And then the students, because these are all simply put, can digest what is expected of them. And this is how also they check themselves, um, and they can assess themselves what they have really learned at the end of the semester or the course. No? And then, of course, a section of that, no? So we move on to the next main section, is now I now have my modules. No? The good part about this is that our students, no, especially those who are doing distance learning or those who for some case cannot go to the classrooms, are like those who are PWDs, those who are infirm, no? Probably have illnesses or those have family emergencies can engage in our classes. No? So now that of course there's typhoon season, so the rains come and everything is so unpredictable. So this is weather friendly. Now you have your modules. So I just showed you here an example of I divided my modules into weeks. No, so if you scroll it down, you have week 1, 2, and then week 3 to 5, weeks 3 to 5, of course, and then 6 to 8. I'll just go through it to be able to show you how I use the different Moodle elements. Like I was able to use in my classes photos, quotations, a book. No, so let's start with week 1 and 2. Of course, this one, I was able to use a book here, an actual book, no, on the photography basics, no, because I always want to lay down my lessons on the basics, the core um, theories, the core concepts of photojournalism, which is actually a review of basic photography. Oh, and then if you click that, then it is going to open into a book. Oh, remember, you can see where my cursor is on the right is an open block drawer. If you click that arrow, you will be able to see the table of contents of the book that I included. So if you look at the topics there, that's a list of topics, the table of contents. No, it's actually very similar to the syllabus at the start. No? So it's topical. Now, you may either use the table of contents to be able to go through the lessons stadially. I mean, by stages or in the order that they are presented, no, starting from lesson 1, lesson 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and so forth until you get to the end. If you are just reading really a basic textbook, or you may want to just center on a particular topic. So if I, example, decide on a particular topic, I want to read just on aperture. Now I can just click lesson 2, aperture, and f-stop, and then exactly the lesson on aperture were open. And you see here, I was able to upload clip art and some illustration. The book sometimes students rather get turned off, especially the college students get turned off by just basic illustrations. No? So within this range of lessons, I was able to use to upload photographs, actual photographs, comparative photographs, of course, because here, like for example, I want to show you like ISO speed and how it looks like if you're taking pictures, photos of the same subject, a rainbow or a prism. But I've also included, like a while ago, I was able to show you some clip art. And then here I've mixed some diagrams with regards to aperture or the eye opening, which is indicated under the pictures and what is going to appear if you look at it at certain pictures. Remember, not all my students here are able to buy expensive cameras. So they have to be able to see these things in actuality. But this time, I will afford them that chance by showing them through the modules. Okay? Now, again, an example of this, because as I said a while ago, not all students will be able to secure, an expensive DSLR. In our university, they can always borrow from the multimedia library. But again, there are students from, doing distance education and they can only learn. Kasi ngayon, uso na, taking pictures to your phone. So, but I want to show them the actual parts of the camera. So this is an enlarged version of the actual uh, facing of the camera that wherein you can see certain numbers that will refer to apertures, that will refer to openings, that will refer to speed, no? So I will be discussing that in class vis-a-vis a diagram below that will show you eye opening, no? Because the camera is like an eye. So the bigger the opening, there's more light. The smaller the opening, there's little light that comes inside. And everything will be discussed in the lesson so that those who do not have actual cameras will still be able to engage in the parts of the camera merely because I've uploaded an enlarged photo of the camera and a diagram also to guide them through. Okay. And then let's go to another example so that I can show you how I was able to attach certain links. Let's go to composition. No? In composition, okay, there, if you will see on the right where my cursor is, it's an arrow. It's a page turner. Okay, that only means you go to the next page. For example, if I click that, then I move on to the next page. So that's going to be 6.1. There's a parallel arrow on the left. That means if I want to go back and review what was on the previous page, so it's just like turning the page back and forth. And then you use the page turner or you use the page returner. I always just say that term to go back and forth if you like to review the previous page. Again, this is a mixture of photographs and diagrams. No? But below it, I was able to integrate as well a YouTube link. No? So this is a hyperlink because I decided that this video is very good to be able to explain the 7 formal elements of photography. So if you actually click the arrow directly, the video will play. Okay. But if you want, and then of course you can always just enlarge the screen so that your students can very well just navigate by clicking the full screen button. But then again, you can also watch this video directly if you click on the title that will redirect you to YouTube because it's a hyperlink. So let's try clicking that. And then there you go. Now you're inside YouTube and you can watch it there if that's your preference. So after watching the video, you can just close the tab and then you're back to that page again. So again, just a little review here so that we don't get, to, we don't get to drown. No? So I was already able from the very start to integrate photos, actual photographs, clip arts, illustrations, and diagrams. I was able to juxtapose them or put them side by side so the students can compare and contrast. I was able to take and share with my students actual parts of the camera in case they don't have the actual camera and cannot navigate the lesson because they're not handling, and you can do this for science classes for students who don't have the microscope or for those who don't have actual test tubes or equipment in front of them by showing actual photographs with enlarged parts and label the parts. They can review on their own, they can learn, and learning does not stop. Okay, in the virtual classroom. Now, there's another feature that I'd like you to look at if you're in Moodle. No, there's a very cute small box on the topmost left corner. No, and that's what you call the open course index. Now, if you click that, it's actually just gonna open to like the dashboard where you will see your sections and your subsections, and that will make it a little easier for your students to navigate. Okay, while the actual module is on the bigger frame on the right side, they will be able to navigate where they are, where they want to go through without going back to the main frame. So this is it. So now probably let's visit, after being able to integrate the YouTube link. Okay. Now we move to, let's see, maybe I want to show you an article, no? This time, let's see, weeks 3 to 5. Now, I want to include, I'm a reader by nature, and one of the best magazines to teach photography and to use as a base reference material for learning photojournalism is Life magazine, which is really very expensive now. And a lot of these are collector items already. So you're able to order these through Amazon, but not all students can afford this. So what do? I get a copy of the article that I want them to read. I'm able to uh, put a link there of the article, and all is click. No, let's go back so you can see to Life magazine. And if I click the link Life magazine, there you will see the actual article as it is on the magazine itself. See, and be able to read it through. Okay, so you may click this link. Look at my cursor, and if you click, you're brought to the actual magazine itself. See, wonderful. You don't have to buy the magazine if that's you like. Then you can help your students go through different resource materials like magazine articles or probably research journal articles. You don't have to buy the whole journal. No, you can bring these articles to your students to the Moodle learning management system. Okay. So now after the magazine, maybe I'd like to show you how I was able to integrate a table. Okay, so we already have photos, diagrams, illustrations, a magazine article, a YouTube link, no, a hyperlink. Now, lesson in week 6 to 8, module 3, no? Lesson 10 is I have a lesson about careers in photojournalism because it's always a discussion. For example, in photography, that is it really a professional endeavor one day? Why do I have engage in that? Is it going to bring in money? Is it going to be a good paying job in the long run, or is it just a hobby? So I want to show the students the different kinds of photography they might engage in. So you have there, you can do wildlife, you can do war, wedding photography, and what job opportunities you have there. You have description, career path, pros and cons. So I'm able to help my students compare and contrast through a table of information that they can see on a side-by-side basis. So I was able to integrate the table as well, which is one of the elements that you can always use to enhance learning. So after that, well, there you will see I was able to put in some activities as well. So if you click activities, so I have a midterm activity. Of course, it's going to depend on how you divide your course, the program or your courses. No? An example of a midterm activity, I just like to click that. If you look at your screen, is of course there's a deadline when I opened it, and as an educator, you will navigate. You will be able to put the deadlines there. When is it due? Of course, it's time stamped. No, and then, for example, you're a student, so you're able to read this. So I put there some activities, and this is just an example. So um, in the long run, there are submission instructions, like say the file as PDF file, access this G drive folder. You have to be very detailed so your students can follow the instructions even without you there, like on a face-to-face basis on their own. It's also self-paced learning. And then on your screen as students, on their screen, of course, you're looking at my screen as a mentor now. On their screen, you will be, there's a button there that says submit, no? To be able to submit. And once you're able to submit that, on the left side, they will click that mark as done. Okay, such that when you go back to the mainframe, you will see there. Let me just show you there, completion. When your students click mark as done because they finished submitting, you just remind them to do that. Then you will see here done. So you know that your students have done the activity already, final students. And then, of course, let me show you an assessment, no, a midterm assessment for my midterm because we have assessments, no. So midterm assessment here also, I put here deadlines. I put here instructions that they will take certain images, no, because this is photojournalism. Again, instructions for submission. How will they submit? What kind of file? Where? What link they will submit it to? And then all they will do is just follow the directions, and the directions will be dependent on you as a mentor, as educators, no, as teachers and professors. Okay, again, and then you have there a make a submission button, and all they have to do is make a submission, and then again on our side as professors, and we will see that as mark done. Okay, and then eventually I'll just move on, no, because after the midterms, of course, you have other modules there, no, but to just shorten it a bit, I'll move on to the final requirement again. Like for my purpose as a professor, I also have for final exams, or what others would call as final requirement in a practical class, and photojournalism is one of them. So I don't have written exams actually, but this is really more of photo narratives, no, to accompany the photos that they will have to shoot. And maybe I was telling my students all the time that we'll meet one another and probably have either an online photo exhibit or an actual photo exhibit, their choice. No? And I ask them to collaborate on sometimes on final requirement ideas, no? So that I will also hear their voice. And I think students get engaged when you listen to the suggestions that I make, that they make, especially for those doing distance education. So that's an example. And again, they will have to submit that and then make a submission again. So it's a very, there's a certain regularity in the requirements of how you make submissions. And of course, again, that will be marked as done, no, in the button of the completion button. Okay. Now, after having completed all of your final requirements, after submitting and everything, so aside from the grades that we will be giving our students, it really depends. Like, is this a class? Is this a training program? Is this part of an open line offering, online open course offering. I read, but you can always use it for different teaching learning purpose. But for my purposes, for example, aside from the grade that I want to give them, is I want to give them a certificate of completion because this also holds the interest of your students because sometimes it confirms, it affirms the participations of your students. So I'll show you a sample certificate of completion I did for the photojournalism class. Of course, I'm going to give them grades, after marking all the performances. And this time, this is the certificate of completion. They will not be able to open this if they have not completed their requirements yet. Okay. And I will be putting their name there, exactly their name. And then the signature of the dean will also appear there. And I modified this because I want to make it a little special and appropriate to the course. So you see a medal that is made of a camera eye, and of course, the camera has to be there. Again, you can reappropriate this according to the course, the subject, the topic, or the training program that you are doing. So it's really kind of very personalized, and I think your students will appreciate, especially if this is an ongoing program. Like for every part of the program, and they're going to get certificates, and then at the end of the road, they're going to get a fine. It's really an engagement. Strategy that you probably have to get into as to enrich the teaching learning process. Okay, so that's again, the students will not be able to open that and to avail of that. See, as I indicated, the certificate of completion can only be accessed after completing the course requirements. Okay, and I will know that because they have completed the course requirement. So basically, that's it. No? Again, it takes a while to be able to learn how to navigate. So let's close our course index. And again, I went back to the initial dashboard. And by the way, under my photojournalism picture there, you will see like participants. So if you click the participants, you will be able to see the students listed in your course, the trainees or whoever or part of the audience, either by first name or their last name. For now, you can't see anything because you're not registered in my class. No? And then, of course, the grades, the students can view the grades there. There's nothing because there's no submission. This is just a sample courseware to show you. No? And you will get to know more about this. So let me get back to the mainframe. Again, at the start, I had a lot of apprehensions. There were a lot of fears. I felt more a student than I was a professor. I feared technology. I feared that one day it's going to explode in my face. Maybe at 60, you just really have to relearn things. But what my main takeaway and main insight in teaching media, communication, at the period of the global history that is perpetually in a flux and changing because of technology. I think the main takeaway that I have is that as we are professors, we are perpetual learners. No, so again, as you know, as very well know, I really insist on lifelong learning, rather, especially for educators like us. Okay, so it was a pleasure sharing this work with you. I hope that I was able to be able to pick your interest, no? To tease you a little bit regarding this. Okay, so really, Moodle is one wonderful world. First, to get lost in, and it's also like a labyrinth, no? With able mentors, like the mentors that I have with Nefila, they'll be able to guide you through. And one day soon, you'll find yourself navigating it on your own, and making this world a better place, really, for both for us as educators and for the students that are put under our care. So maraming salamat po. This has been a wonderful teaching, learning opportunity sharing. I would rather just call it collegial sharing with all of you. And again, I hope to learn from you as well. One day soon, we'll meet in one of the activities of NAFILA through the Moodle training programs that they're offering. Maraming salamat, and I hope to keep on learning with you all through this lifetime. Thank you very much. I'll see you soon. Keep learning.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nerissa, for that insightful topic and for walking us through the first steps in Moodle course development. Dr. Nerissa, if you may, there is a question online. Let me
Okay.
read it first. As a beginner in using Moodle, how would I set up a new online course? Describe the essential steps involved, the key settings to configure, and the preparations you need to make before building the course, such as planning your content, selecting appropriate
Okay.
activities, and organizing your course structure. And why are these preparations important for creating an effective learning environment?
Wow, that's a lot, Miss Fritzy. Probably just going to take another whole a set of another mentoring no coaching
Yeah,
program, but let me just probably let me just answer that in an encapsulated way, no, because I don't like to pull the rug under my mentors in the fila web, because I always feel that I'm just a beginner and I'm still navigating my way through. But first and foremost, I think even before the Moodle was brought into my life, I think as professors, very clear idea of the content that we want to teach. For my purposes, I'm a communication professor. I'm being assigned certain loads or subject courses to teach. And then because I'm assigned that, there are certain course requirements that the university or your colleges or your institutions prescribe. If you're working with a corporate office, I'm sure there's like a stagel process to follow. So you're being required certain things. No? There are requirements for any learning, teaching, learning engagement. No? And you should be able to already have a clear picture of that in mind. So for my purposes, what I do is I outline everything already. So it's very important to gather your materials, to be able to know how to source it out. So as you know, I've been in the teaching industry for what, almost 30 years now. So what I do is I keep folders, again, I'm coming in from the Jurassic era. I used to have actual folders and envelopes of clippings and articles way back then before the event of the computers and the laptops. But then because there was the advancement in technology, I had to slowly transition myself from keeping all these actual clippings, pictures, into keeping them into online files, no? Into virtual files, virtual folders, so that I may be able to share them with people who are not actually in my space. Because we are now the global space is so massive, is so wide, but we can always contain ourselves in one classroom. And that is the good part about global village, global classroom. The universe becomes one single space now with the ability of LMS, now with the capacity of LMS to bring us together. So I'm able now to share my collection of articles, references. I can share links. Now you can share videos. What else? You can share information. You can share a lot of things. No, not by actually sharing the materials, the heavy books, but you can just get people to do hyperlinks. But the important part is before it's like going on a trip. Before going on embarking on a journey, you first have to know where are you going. So I usually do that by, understanding by the side. A lot of educators know this, no? So I know I have to know what is the end goal. I have to know where I'm going. If I'm planning a trip to a certain place, how do I go there? Do I go there using a, do I buy plane tickets? Do I use a car? Can I bike my way to the place? Can I just walk going there? So you have to clearly set in mind, how do you reach that point? What are the requirements? What materials will be necessary for you to be able to reach that point? What expectations do you have of your students? Like, what are the learning outcomes that you want to be able to inculcate in them as an educator? But more importantly, what are your capacities and your abilities? How will you be able to translate these lessons? Like, I engaged myself in Moodle because I want to be able to learn how to better communicate with my students who are digital natives. The more they're covering the alphabet, I always say this. It used to be just baby boomers and then Gen Zs and millennials and then Gen Zs. Now you have the Gen Alpha, the Gen Beta, and they're going to cover the whole alphabet. But if I'm going to remain in the Jurassic age, How will I become an efficient teacher when, in fact, my students are born into the AI and information age? So I cannot teach them what I have not empowered myself to engage in. So that's very clear to me. I think these are the points that you first have to map out in yourself as an educator. And then you engage or you get training programs like Moodle. You have to access um, very, very capable, very clearly planned out learning management systems as Moodle, because Nefila Web has all of these planned out, no, the programs, the training that is particularly suited for your company, your academic institution. You will be able to meet their mentors. You can tell them how you want your whole program to go about. Like if I'm in the university, I ask my mentor, so how do I do this? How do I do that? Of course, I cannot be able to teach you the whole thing because this is a whole learning process for me. And talagang ang objective naman nitong zero to launch is to be able to just serve as an appetizer because I want to be able to pull you in and to just get your interest because it's really just a journey that it's really just progressing. And the more you're able to navigate, the more excited you become. The day, I discovered Canva, I discovered all of these things, I was able to upload the hyperlink, I was able to, to do all the cabinets, the sections. I was able to teach another person. I was so excited, man. For senior citizen, I was just so excited that, hey, finally, I'm able to arm myself with something new. Probably the context about photography is the same context that's been taught some years ago, decades ago, but it's going to be different such that you'll be able to navigate the lesson in a different way now. Okay, so that's it, Miss Fritz. I hope in a way I was able to encapsulate, ano, kasi, that
Yes,
was
ma'am.
really a lot. No? Yeah.
Actually, ma'am, there's another question.
Okay, naku, you're get. I want you to enroll in Moodle already.
One
Okay,
last question, ma'am, is
okay.
what challenges do you expect when teaching with Moodle for the first time, and how do you plan to overcome them?
Okay, challenges. First, maybe challenges in terms of technology. The thing with technology is that it's not free from also from technological problems. No, I always tell my students that because I'm in broadcasting, we just say radio and TV before, and of course print media. No? But now you have what? You have SOCMED, social media, you have live streaming, you have all these other platforms. No? So because technology advances, sometimes the very problem of technology is technology itself, especially in the Philippines, sad to say. Basic problems will be signals, ano na-encounter naman nating lahat ito, no? Signal strength, pag nagkaroon ng massive blackout, then we have a problem with that. Or if there's like a lot of people using different, what is this, suppliers or no, you have all these problems, no? But again, that is something that I think our government is working hard to address. And I think we have to really work hard at that to be able to cope with the global village, the demands of the global information system, network information system, for us to be able also to strengthen our capacity to engage in learning management systems. But I'd suffice to say that if the people in the seats of power can be able to address this technological problem, which is really kind of way beyond our reach, no? Tayo as educators, I think like we're aging and we know that, except of course for my younger colleagues, no? I think one of the challenges is we always have to keep ourselves abreast in the changing landscape of learning, most especially because every day that we wake up to a new world. The new world did not happen just yesterday, tomorrow. The new world did not happen 5 years ago. The newer world will not happen like 10 years from now. I think every time I wake up to something new. And that forces me to learn something new. So I keep insisting that the challenge here is that as we insist that we are professors, we also have to remember and anchor ourselves in the thought that we will also forever be students. In fact, I have to admit in all humility that sometimes my students are far more advanced than me in terms of technological knowledge. But as I learn from them, I'm I'm able to get their interest in bringing them knowledge and wisdom through the platforms that they use. Okay, sikat tayo kasi may wisdom tayo. Sila naman, they have the technological know-how. Eh. And then maybe we can put them together. Siguro ang challenge kasi also is that minsan ang professors will become stagnant. Eh. We're just contented with what we already know. There's got to be some humility there that we have to learn more. That is why Netila is here. That is why Moodle is being presented. That is why they have continuous learning programs. That is why even at a cost, talagang may cost kasi laging sinasabi rin ng colleagues yan, it's very expensive to enroll in training programs. Ako rin, I have a household to keep, I have personal expenses, but learning is never cheap. Again, former DepEd Secretary, brother, not Armin Luis, um, former Lasalian DepEd Secretary said, if you want something cheap or free, try ignorance because learning has a cost. If you want quality education, you invest in learning management systems. No? And then on the part of the students, I think cost again is another challenge that they have to deal with. But if you always look at what is at the end of it, no? Ano tayo, let's weigh in yung cost benefit tayo. Mag-i-invest nga tayo ng ganitong amount. Ano naman yung makukuha natin at the end? Because you always have to bear in mind, we are now dealing with the global village. Wala na lang tayo sa Pilipinas, sa probinsya natin, sa classroom natin. Our goal is not only to be able to finish college, get a job. We're engaging with the whole world that is changing faster and faster every day. So to be able to cope, to be able to engage, to be able to live a life that is of quality, to be able to still keep this world, sustainable and everything, I think we really just have to learn technology. Okay, so yun. The disadvantages will always be there. The obstacles will always be there. We just have to keep ourselves open to stumbling and navigating and getting lost, getting confused, having fears. But again, like me, I took the first step. Ma'am Cheryl, plugging, the president of the field, was very patient with me. Nahiya nga ako because I always say, Ma'am, thank you for being prof. Thank you for being very patient. But please add to the patience because ngayon ko lang na-feel na para akong preschooler engaging in something I really don't know. But she just kept on prodding me on saying, kaya mo yan. Kaya mo yan. Just keep on going through kahit wala sa classroom. Just keep on, navigating on your own. Press the buttons, click, you will open, you will see, and then you'll be able to engage. That's it, Ms. Fritzy.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nerissa, for answering those questions. And as you mentioned earlier, you are just a beginner to Moodle, but as I watch you presenting, I think I've enjoyed watching you earlier presenting po, ma'am. And
Thank you.
Nepila Webs for Advocacy's learning and education, I think the viewers feel motivated with what you have said and what you have experienced, and just like what you shared your story from as a beginner and learning the new technologies. Thank you so much,
Thank
ma'am.
you. Thank you so much. Keep learning, everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Okay, so I hope everyone learns a deeper understanding on how Moodle works. So before we officially wrap up today's mentor session, we'd like to take a moment to share some powerful tools that can support your institution's digital learning and school management needs. So we have the Moodle LMS and the Moodle Workplace. In Moodle LMS, you can create your own courses and activities, as well as to administer quizzes and assignments, create a variety of multimedia-rich interactive content. You can make quizzes, virtual tours, and simulations all from within your course. And you can also stay in touch with your students and monitor their progress by sending messages, notifying them of important events, and enabling you to report on their progress. So if you're looking for a fully customizable learning management system, Moodle LMS is your go-to solution. It is used by over 400 million users worldwide and offers modern features, branding flexibility, and easy performance tracking, perfect for empowering both educators and learners. We also have the Moodle Workplace. in which you can manage multiple entities from a central place with multi-tenancy, manage your team's performance and growth, easy to generate, edit, and share reports, make your compliance training more efficient and effective, get new employees started off on the right foot, and integrate your systems and tools. It is a secure enterprise-ready learning management system that combines the best of Moodle LMS with advanced features for workplace learning, compliance tracking, and organizational training. So if you'd like to explore any of these platforms further, feel free to reach out to us or visit our website after the session. We'd be happy to help you find the right solution for your institution or organization. We also want to invite all of you to one of the most exciting events in our Moodle community this year, the Moodle Mood Philippines 2025, happening on July 2 to 4, 2025 at the Luxon Hotel, Quezon City. So whether you're an educator, instructional designer, Moodle admin, researcher, or simply passionate about learning, this is the event for you. We are also calling for speakers as well to talk at the Moodle Mood Philippines this July. If you are passionate about education, e-learning, innovation, or have a unique Moodle success story to share, we want to hear from you. And whether you're an educator, technology, instructional designer, or Moodle admin, your voice matters. So share your expertise, inspire others, and contribute to shaping the future of digital learning in the Philippines and beyond. We are also inviting sponsors to partner with us. Moodle Mood Philippines is a great platform to showcase your brand, products, and services to a growing and engaged community of educators, institutions, and decision makers in the edtech space. It's an opportunity to build meaningful connections and align your brand with innovation and impact. Let me present to you a short video that will give you a glimpse of what to expect at Mood Page 2025. Lastly, we're excited to give you a sneak peek of what's coming next in the Moodle Mentor series. Mark your calendars for our next session happening on Tuesday, June 17, 2025. We'll be diving into Moodle Choice, Simple Student Feedback with Ms. Janet Ramos, Junior Moodle Support Analyst at the Field of Technology. This is a great opportunity to level up your Moodle skills and gain fresh ideas you can apply right away. As always, it's free, it's live, and it's packed with value. So once again, thank you everyone for joining us today. See you on Tuesday. Stay safe, stay curious, and keep learning with Moodle.